Are we ready for Mr. Ruiz?
Yes, we are. Good morning. Tell me your name.
Jesús Alberto Ruiz.
Mr. Ruiz, you are here today on a misdemeanor assault charge. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is a charge out of Pima County Justice Court. I'm also told that you have a bond on another case and also a hold from DOC. Jail, are you showing the DOC hold?
We are, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Reese, we're here to talk about your conditions of release on this assault case. I am going to impose a bond today on this case of $500 cash or secured. I'm going to appoint an attorney for you. That's going to be Gary Grinkowicz. He will be representing you on this matter. And I'm going to set a hearing for you tomorrow, June 20th at 1 p.m. That's going to be your arraignment in Justice Court. You'll likely appear via video, much like you're doing here today for that hearing. Do you have any questions about the release conditions, the bond that I set?
No,
Do you have another felony matter that's going on right now too?
no, yo tenía un caso, pero ya me lo resolvaron.
Okay, hang on, sir. Do you need to have an interpreter?
Sí,
Sí, señor, está hablando el fiscal. Vamos a esperar por un interpretante.
And Your Honor, the interpreter is here.
I know.
Oh.
Thank you, Madam Interpreter. So we're going to do this again, so I make sure that Mr. Reese understands. Mr. Reese, tell me your full name.
Señor Ruiz,
Ruiz.
no, permítame. Tiene que esperar al intérprete. Jesús Alberto Ruiz.
Gracias.
This is the time for your initial appearance on an assault charge.
Este es el momento que se ha programado para la comparecencia inicial para tratar un cargo de agresión.
This is a matter out of Pima County Justice Court.
Esta es una cuestión que sale del Tribunal de Juzgado de Paz en el Condado Pima.
You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Tiene el derecho a permanecer callado. Cualquier cosa que diga se podrá usar en su contra.
I am going to appoint an attorney for you in this matter. His name is Gary Grinkowicz.
Le voy a asignar un abogado de oficio en esta causa. Se llama Gary Grinkowicz.
I am going to impose a $500 cash or secured bond on this matter as well.
Y también voy a programar una fianza de $500. Se puede depositar ya sea efectivo o asegurada.
Your next court date is June 20th at 1 o'clock.
Y su siguiente audiencia es el 20 de junio a la 1 de la tarde.
That will be at Pima County Justice Court, but you will likely appear via video, much like you're doing here today.
Y esa audiencia se llevará a cabo en el Juzgado de Paz del Condado Pima, pero es muy probable que vaya a comparecer usted por video como lo hizo hoy.
You do have a hold through the Department of Corrections.
Tiene una orden de detención de la penal.
So even if you were to post your bond in this case, you would not be released.
Y eso quiere decir que aunque usted pagara la fianza en este caso, aún así no se le dejaría salir libre.
I do need to tell you that if you do post your bond and you do get released, you are expected to show up for your court date tomorrow.
Y le tengo que decir que si por alguna razón usted sí deposita la fianza y lo dejan salir libre, tiene que presentarse a la audiencia mañana.
And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest.
Y si usted no se presenta para esa audiencia, se podría expedir una orden de arresto en su contra.
Do you understand the conditions of your release, the bond that I've imposed today, sir?
¿Entiende usted las condiciones a la fianza que programé para la liberación, señor?
Sí,
Yes.
And do you understand the consequences if you don't show up for court, that they'll issue a warrant for you?
Y también entiende las consecuencias de que no se presente a una audiencia, que quiere decir que le podrían expedir una orden de arresto.
Sí.
Yes.
All right, you're not allowed to have any contact with the victim as well. So that's an additional condition, and then you're all done, sir.
Y tampoco tiene permiso, perdón, tiene prohibido tener cualquier contacto con la víctima y ya eso es todo lo que tenemos que decirle, señor. Gracias.
Okay.
You're all
Okay.
done. You're all done, sir.
Ya terminamos,
Gracias.
señor. Thank you.
Thank you,
Your
Madam
Honor,
Interpreter.
Your Honor, would you like to do the Spanish interpreter matter next?
Sure, if we could do that, that would be, I'm sure, greatly appreciated by her as well as the courts.
Thank you, Ana.
Omana, please, pásale.
We do have to get Mr. Fatuk back because I do believe this is, oh no, yes. No, it's.
It's showing this,
it's a
it's showing
misdemeanor.
misdemeanor.
Yeah, no, you're right, it's a misdemeanor. Hi, sir, tell me your name.
Hola, señor. ¿Tiene su nombre, por favor?
Humana Reyes, José Israel.
Humana Reyes, José Israel.
You are here on a couple of different matters, sir. One is a matter out of Pima County Justice Court for 2 charges of disorderly conduct.
Bien, señor, está aquí por 2 causas. Una es del condado, del juzgado de paz, del condado Pima. Son 2 cargos. There's 2 charges and one is about what, Your Honor?
They're disorderly conduct.
Okay. Y los 2 cargos son por conducta desordenada o desorden público.
We're also here for a Tucson City Court matter that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Y también estamos aquí para tratar una cuestión que surgió del Tribunal Municipal de Tucson, pero vamos a hablar en un momentito.
This is the time to talk about your initial appearance and set your conditions of release on these 2 charges.
Y hoy es el momento para hablar de la comparecencia inicial y de programar sus condiciones de liberación en cuanto a los 2 cargos.
I have had a chance to review some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report that tells me a little bit about you and the circumstances of the offense.
Bien, entonces he tenido la oportunidad de repasar algo de información que me dieron, que me dio Servicios Procesales, que habla de los cargos que se le imputaron y también de la naturaleza de la ofensa.
The information that I have is that there is a hold from the Bureau of Immigration and Custom Enforcement.
Y la información que tengo aquí es que hay una orden de detención de el Buró de Aduanas e Inmigración.
So regardless of what I do on your conditions of release on this case today, you will not be released because of that hold.
Entonces, no importa qué haga yo aquí, de cualquier manera no se le va a dejar salir libre por esa detención que tiene del Departamento de Inmigración.
You do have the right to remain silent on these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Y tiene el derecho a no declarar nada en cuanto a estos cargos. Cualquier cosa que usted diga se podrá usar en su contra.
I've had an opportunity to review the Form 4C, the Intimate Partner Risk Assessment.
Y he tenido la oportunidad de leer ya el formulario que se le llama la evaluación de riesgo.
These charges are domestic violence related.
Los cargos del que se le están imputando sí tienen que ver con violencia doméstica.
The victim is your former partner, Ms. Castro, and a minor age victim.
Y la víctima viene siendo su expareja, la señora Castro, y también una víctima menor de edad.
She is indicating that contact with you is still welcome.
Y ella está diciendo que el contacto con usted todavía es bienvenido.
I am going to impose conditions of release today. There's going to be a $500 cash bond that will be imposed.
Entonces le voy a imponer unas condiciones de liberación. Quiere decir que se le va a programar o se va a fijar una fianza en su caso de $500 en efectivo.
I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you. His name is Peter Gutierrez.
Voy a asignarle un abogado a que le represente también. Se llama Peter Gutierrez.
Your next hearing in this matter is going to be tomorrow, June 20th at 1 in the afternoon.
Y la siguiente audiencia en esta causa va a ser mañana. Va a ser el 20 de junio a la 1 de la tarde.
If for some reason your ICE matter were to get resolved and you post your bond and get released,
Y si por alguna razón se resolviera el caso de ICE y usted pagara la fianza y saldría libre,
you are expected to show up at the hearing tomorrow.
se espera que sí se presente a su audiencia mañana.
And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest.
Y si no se presenta, se podría expedir una orden de arresto en su contra.
I'm also going to impose an additional condition that you not commit any further acts of domestic violence.
También voy a imponer una condición adicionalmente y es que no cometa ningún acto de violencia doméstica.
Do you understand the conditions of release that I've imposed on your justice court matter today?
¿Sí entiende entonces cuáles son las condiciones de liberación que le impuse en el caso de que proviene del Tribunal Municipal, perdón, del Tribunal del Juzgado de Paz?
Sí, sí entiendo, claro que sí.
Yes, I do understand. Of course I do.
And your hearing tomorrow, if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand those consequences as well?
Y también entiende las consecuencias del que no se presente mañana a la audiencia.
Sí.
Podría expedir una orden de arresto en su contra. Yes, I do understand.
All right, now we need to talk about your city court case.
Bien, entonces ahora tenemos que hablar del caso que proviene del Tribunal Municipal.
You're here on a warrant on that matter for criminal trespass.
Está aquí bajo una orden de arresto en esa causa por entrada ilegal.
I am going to impose a $100 cash bond on that case.
100, Your Honor.
Yes.
Le voy a imponer una fianza de $100 de efectivo en ese caso.
I am going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you on that case.
Y voy a asignar a la Defensoría Pública de la Ciudad de Tucson para que lo represente en este caso.
I'm sorry, hang on, sir. I think we have the wrong for you. Hang on, hang on.
Señor, permítame porque creo que tenemos el expediente equivocado.
I'm sorry, Mr. Amama Reyes, you do not have any city court cases. The only one you have pending is the justice court one we talked about.
Señor, discúlpeme, siempre no tiene ningún caso del Tribunal Municipal. El único caso que tiene pendiente es de los cargos que ya hablamos.
So you are all done today. I apologize.
Entonces ya terminamos hoy y le pido disculpas una vez más por el error.
Entonces tengo una fianza para pagar.
So then I just have a bond to pay today?
If you try to pay that bond, sir, you're still going to have your ICE hold. So you're still going to have to stay in jail, even if you try to pay that bond.
Mire, señor, si usted trata de pagar esa fianza, aún así no va a salir liberado hoy porque tiene una orden de detención del Departamento de ICE o el Departamento de Inmigración. Entonces, todavía se va a tener que quedar en la cárcel si trata de pagarla de todos modos.
I have appointed an attorney for you, Peter Gutierrez. Hopefully he will be contacting you before your hearing tomorrow. You should probably talk with him.
Bien, entonces le ha asignado ya un abogado, acuérdese, se llama Peter Gutierrez. Y mañana él tiene que hablar con usted antes, o va a tener una audiencia usted mañana y ojalá que él se ponga en contacto con usted antes de eso.
Ok, solo quiero asegurarme que sepan, yo no quiero pelear nada, ningún caso. Tengo un pasaporte vigente y me puedo ir a mi casa mañana mismo. No tengo nada que decir. No me gustaría ver ningún abogado, solo que vengan, necesitan, yo me voy.
Well, you know, the only thing I want to make sure that it is understood is that I don't want to fight any case. I'm not going to fight any charges. I have a passport that's valid and I can leave tomorrow if I'm allowed to leave. I don't want to talk to anyone or see an attorney. And if they want to come for me, well, they can come and do so because I'm willing to go home.
Sir, I can't give you any legal advice on how to proceed today.
Mire, señor, yo no le puedo dar ninguna asesoría legal acerca de cómo proceder hoy.
I've imposed the bond of $500 on your justice court case.
Como le dije, acabo de imponer una fianza de $500 en el caso del juzgado de paz.
If you post that bond, then the jail will notify ICE that they can come and get you so that you can get that resolved.
Entonces, si usted deposita esa fianza, la cárcel le hablará al Departamento de Inmigración para que pueda venir a recogerlo para resolver ese caso.
Perfecto, yo pago para que ellos vengan. Y si no vienen en 24 horas, I'm legal to go home, ¿verdad? Porque
Okay.
tienen un horario.
That's great, then I'll pay so that they can come and get me, and if they don't come and get me within 24 hours, I'm free to go home, right?
I can't answer that, sir.
Mire, yo no le puedo contestar eso, señor.
You're all done on this case today.
Ya terminamos con este caso hoy. Your Honor, may the interpreter be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, we don't have any other Spanish speakers, right, Jail?
Do not, Your Honor, but I have a request if I may.
Okay,
Mr. Chad Morgan, he's down on the felony side, number 9.
Okay.
Is there any way we could see him next?
sure.
You're the best.
We need to get Mr. Fatuk. There he is.
He's here.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Chad Morgan.
Is your middle name Harley?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You are here today on felony charges involving possession of a dangerous drug and drug paraphernalia. We also have other matters that we need to talk about out of Tucson City Court, and you have a warrant out of Pima County Superior Court for CR 2022-4384. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today on the felony charges, and you do have an attorney seated with you for those purposes today. Dale, are you showing a hold for that Superior Court warrant?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Morgan, we're here to set your conditions of release. Whatever I do today, you're not going to be released until your felony warrant matter is resolved. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, you are.
So based on your new charges, the drug possession charges, you may be eligible to participate in a pre-indictment diversion program. It's called STEPS. It would be an opportunity for you to participate in substance abuse treatment, stay in contact with pretrial, and if you successfully complete the program, if you're eligible, the state would not go forward with these felony charges. Does that sound like something you're interested in doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So I am going to get a STEPS hearing for you. That hearing is going to be June 26th at 9 o'clock. That will be in Pima County Superior Court. Because you're being held on another felony matter and you also have multiple outstanding city court matters, I am inclined to hold him today, counsel, on a $2,500 cash or secured bond released to pretrial if he posts that bond. Does either party need to be heard further on that?
No, Judge.
Given the Superior Court judge, we just asked that you consider $1,000.
All right. Mr. Morgan, you do have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. You have a public defender that we're appointing for you today, and you do have Mr. Fatuk seated with you for purposes of these proceedings. I am going to impose that $2,500 cash or secured bond today. If you post that bond, then you'd be released to pretrial services. You have to stay in contact with that agency. You're not allowed to possess any firearms and you can't have any alcohol and obviously no illegal drugs. Do you understand all of those conditions of release on your felony case?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next hearing after the one next week for your steps matter is going to be June 30th at 1:30. That is a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now we need to talk about your city court cases. Looks like you have multiple warrants out of Tucson City Court for charges of threats and intimidation, disorderly conduct, also criminal trespass, shoplifting, possession of drug paraphernalia. There are multiple counts on each of those, all warrants. You do have the right to remain silent on all of those matters as well. I am going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you on those cases. I am going to impose a bond in the amount of $500 cash for your city court matters. That's for everything that is pending. If for some reason you post that bond, do not return to that incident location. Your next hearing for Tucson City Court is going to be June 27th at 1:45. And that's going to be in front of Judge Verena at Tucson City Court. If you're still in custody, sir, you'll appear via video, much like you're doing here today. If you get your felony matters resolved and you do post your bond, then you're going to obviously be released. And then your court date would be July 28th for the city court cases. If you do get released, Mr. Morgan, you're going to get copies of all your court paperwork that will have these dates and times on them. You do have to appear for all your hearings if you're not in custody. If you fail to appear for any of the hearings we've talked about today, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand those consequences if you fail to appear? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, you're all done for today, Mr. Morgan. Hi, tell me your name. Jail, are we muted?
We are no longer muted, Your Honor.
All right. Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Alexis Ballesteros.
Ms. Ballesteros, you are here today on multiple matters. One is a case out of Pima County Justice Court involving charges of shoplifting and drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. We also have city court cases that we need to talk about as well. And it looks like you have warrants out of Tucson City Court also for theft and criminal trespass. Looks like
I fixed those many years ago.
Not according to Tucson City Court. They're still there. So, Ms. Ballesteros, if I release you today on these charges, will you promise to show up at the court dates? You're going to get 2 separate court dates today. Do you promise that you'll show up at, oh, actually, do you have a, sorry, jail, do you guys have a felony hold on her for Superior Court?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I am going to release you on the misdemeanor cases, Ms. Ballesteros, but you're going to be held because of your felony case. So until you resolve that one, your misdemeanor cases are not going to be what continues to hold you, but you are going to have to make sure that you show up to your court dates if you get released on your felony. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right.
What if I'm still here when I have those court dates for those misdemeanors?
The jail will make sure that you appear either via video or in person.
Okay.
Okay, so
Mhm.
your release conditions for the shoplifting and drug paraphernalia, I am going to release you on your promise to appear. You are not allowed to return to the incident location. Wherever the shoplifting occurred, that's where the victims are, and you can't go back there. I'm going to set a court date for you. And that's going to be so June 30th at 10:30 in the morning is going to be your hearing at Justice Court. If you do get released, Ms. Ballesteros, you're going to get copies of your paperwork, and that's going to have the date and time on it. So make sure when you leave the jail, if you get out before the 30th, that you do make sure you collect your paperwork so you've got those court dates. If you don't appear for that date and time and you're not in custody, they're going to issue a warrant for you. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing?
Yeah.
And do you understand the conditions of release that I've imposed on your misdemeanor case today?
Sure.
All right, let's talk about your city court cases. I am going to release you on that one as well. I know you said you thought you took care of it, but that is not the information out of Tucson City Court. They do have that case still open for you, and it's been open since 2023. So you've got to show up and get that taken care of. Do you understand that?
No.
Did you say no?
Yeah, I said no. Because when I went to go into that city court, they said I no longer have it.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to get in contact with city court again. I'm gonna give you a court date. It's gonna be a little ways out. But you do have to show up for that court date. It's gonna be August 25th at 9 a.m. I'm gonna appoint the city public defender's office to represent you for that case so that someone from the city public defender's office can contact you and you can actually hopefully work with them to get that resolved. So again, do not return to wherever that incident location was. That's where the victims are and you can't go back there. So those are your conditions of release. Again, I'm releasing you on that case. So if you get released on your felony, you do need to make sure that you get in contact with the city PD and show up for that hearing on August 8th. You understand all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And again, Ms. Ballesteros, if you don't show up for that hearing, they're going to issue another warrant for you. Do you understand the consequences?
Well,
if you don't show up?
then that should be the jail's fault.
Ms. Ballesteros, if you don't show up, they're going to issue a warrant. It has nothing to do with the jail. Do you understand that?
It does, because they don't send you to those.
They also have video review hearings, and you're going to have a public defender that will help take care of you. But if you are out of custody, you have to show up for that hearing. And if you
Okay.
don't, they'll issue a warrant. Got it?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, you're all done.
Escobedo?
Oh, nice. That's helpful. I didn't know. Hi, tell me your name.
Escobedo.
Mr. Escobedo, you are here today on a charge of domestic violence assault. This is a misdemeanor matter. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is the time for your initial appearance where we're going to talk about conditions of release. If I do release you today, Mr. Escobedo, will you promise to show up at a court date that I give you in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
The other condition that I will impose if I release you is you are not allowed to return to any contact with the victim who is your grandfather. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have somewhere else that you're living?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I am going to release you on this charge today on your promise to appear. You're not to commit any acts of domestic violence, don't have any contact with the victim, and do not return to the incident location. Do you understand all of those conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is going to be June 30th at 10:30 in the morning, and that's going to be at Pima County Justice Court. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Do you think you can repeat it one more time for me, please? June 30th, at what time?
10:30?
10:30?
Yeah.
Thank
When you get released today, Mr. Escobedo, you're going to get a copy of your appearance order with release conditions before you leave the jail. It's going to have the date and time and also the address and phone number for Justice Court where you need to appear.
Okay.
Okay, just make sure you get that paper before you go. You're all done for today.
you. Thank you. We're all done.
Hi,
Yeah.
your name?
Maribel Peralta.
Ms. Peralta, you are here today for your initial appearance on misdemeanor charges of assault and disorderly conduct. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services in this case. That information tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of this offense. They were not able to get a hold of the victim in this case, Mr. Mata. So if I release you today, ma'am, you're going to have to promise to do two things. One, show up at a court date that I give you. Will you do that?
Yes.
And two, you are not allowed to have any contact with Gabriel Mata at all.
I understand.
And you'll agree to abide by that?
Yes. Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So I live with them. I don't know, all of my stuff is there. How am I, and my dogs, how am I able to get all of my stuff to leave and all that?
So what I'm going to do is give you on your release conditions that you're going to get when you get out today. I'm checking a box now that says you may return to the incident location one time with law enforcement to get all of your belongings. Okay. So I will release you on this matter today, Ms. Peralta. Again, your conditions: don't commit any acts of domestic violence, don't have any contact with the victim, and don't return to the incident location. However, you may return one time with a police escort to pick up your belongings. So when you get that order, when you get released later today, you can either go to a nearby substation for a police department or call 911 and let them know that you have this order and that you need an escort. Please do not go and sit in front of the house. You need to be down the street, at a convenience store, somewhere to wait for law enforcement and then go with them to the location. Do you understand all of that?
Yes.
Okay. Your next.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
So if I don't have keys, like how am I supposed to get in and all that?
You may have to have.
My car is also at the house.
Okay.
I don't know if he has it or not.
You'll have to work with law enforcement on that. They may be able to call him to make sure that he's there before you go over. Okay,
Okay.
but you should not be making any calls to him or have any contact with him. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Your next court date is going to be June 30th at 10:30 in the morning. That's going to be at Pima County Justice Court. That date and time, also the address and phone number for Justice Court is going to be on your release condition order as well. So you'll have that. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
I understand.
All
Can I
right.
ask another question? So what if they're not able to get a hold of him for me to go and get my dog and my stuff?
You're going to have to work with them, ma'am. You can't have any contact with him. So if you have other family members or something like that, it's just you can't be the one to say, hey, call him and ask to get all my stuff back. You're just going to have to be patient and work with law enforcement to do that.
Okay.
Okay, you're all done for today, Ms. Peralta.
Release how?
Hello, Your Honor.
Hi, tell me your name.
Francisco Ruizar.
This one here.
All right, you are here today, sir, for your initial appearance on 2 charges, criminal damage and assault. These are domestic violence offenses. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report that tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense. It looks like your spouse is the victim in this case. She is indicating at this time that she welcomes further contact with you. If I release you today on this case, will you promise to show up at Marana City Court at a date that I give you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are not allowed to commit any further acts of domestic violence. Do you understand that as well?
Okay.
I will release you on your promise to appear today. Again, don't commit any acts of domestic violence. Your next court date is going to be July 23rd at 10 o'clock in the morning, and that's going to be at Marana City Court. You will have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear at that date and time, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
When you get released later today, you are going to get a copy of your paperwork. It is going to have the court date and time I just gave you, as well as the address and phone number for Marana City Court.
With the contact and stuff, that means, do I have to stay at another place or do I just, or I could still be at home?
You can still be at home. She did indicate, and based on the circumstances, you can continue to have contact with her, just no more domestic violence. Things get heated, you probably should find somewhere else to go, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
I'm not limiting contact between the two of you today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so
All
much.
right, you're all done.
Rebecca?
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Rebecca Gabriel Warner.
Ms. Warner, you are here on multiple matters here today. You have 3 warrants out of justice court, or 3 cases out of justice court, and then city court matters that we need to talk about. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The new charges do involve displaying a fictitious plate, providing a false name, and then some civil traffic things as well that you were cited for, it looks like, by the Tucson Airport Authority. And then there are your justice court warrants for failing to appear for driving on a suspended license. There are 2 of those. These offense dates are from 2015 and 2022.
I know.
And then it looks like your Tucson City Court matter is from 2015 for shoplifting and criminal trespass. Are you residing here in Arizona?
Yeah, but I remarried and was just out stay-at-home mom for 6-7 years. So that's why it was off the radar.
So you're not going to be able to stay off the radar. You're going to have to get these things taken care of. If I release you today, will you promise to go get them taken care of?
Yes, ma'am.
All of them.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. I'm going to release you on all of the matters today. You are going to have to go to Justice Court on July 11th at 10:30. If your license is still suspended, you are not allowed to drive without a valid license. That is your condition of release on this case,
Okay.
on all of your cases.
Right. It's my main thing.
Bear with me while I finish paperwork on all of this.
You're good.
All right, so those are your court dates for all 3 matters that are pending in Pima County Justice Court. If you do not show up on July 11th at 10:30, they're going to issue another warrant for your arrest. Do you understand those consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Talking about your Tucson City Court matter, I'm going to release you on that as well. But again, you've got to go to City Court to get it taken care of.
Okay.
Your next court date in Tucson City Court is going to be July 23rd at 2 o'clock. And that's going to be in front of Judge Cranshaw. Again, if you don't show up for that hearing, ma'am, they're going to issue a warrant for you, and then you're going to be back here again. All right? Go get those things taken care of.
Your Honor.
You're all done.
Have a good day.
Webster, Russell?
Hey, sir, tell me your name.
How are you?
Hi, tell me your name.
Russell Webster.
Mr. Webster, you are here today on a charge of assault. It is a domestic violence offense. And we're also here to talk about a warrant for disorderly conduct out of Pima County Justice Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. Tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense, the new one. Looks like the victim in this case of the new charge is your roommate, Mr. Abbott. Pretrial services was not able to get a hold of Mr. Abbott. So if I release you today, do you have some other place where you can stay? Because you're not going to be allowed to go back there.
No, I don't. That's a foster home.
It's a what?
Foster home. And Your Honor, if I may speak, he attacked me and I defended myself.
Okay, well, that's going to be something that you can deal with once you get to court.
The other issue I wasn't even aware of.
Looks like it happened in February. So, Mr. Webster, I can't allow you to return back to that location. So if you don't have any other place to live, I'm going to have you stay in jail until you meet with your attorney and get this resolved.
Gee, I don't have another place to go.
All right. And it looks like there is a warrant amount on your other case for $500.
And I'm broke. I'm flat broke.
All right. I am going to impose a $100 cash bond. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you on these cases today. I'm going to appoint Jeff Grinkowicz or Gary Grinkowicz, sorry, to represent you.
What if I cannot come up with money for the bond?
Then you're going to stay in custody, but you're going to have a hearing tomorrow. And so you'll have a hearing tomorrow. All right, so. Your conditions of release, Mr. Webster, for this case, as I've said, the bond of $100 cash. If for some reason you're not on mute, sir, and I can hear you, can you mute for me, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. So, Mr. Webster, $100 cash bond. If you post that bond for some reason and you do get out, don't commit any acts of domestic violence. You cannot return to the incident location and you can't have any contact with the victim. If you
Place to go?
Okay, well, you're going to talk with Mr. Grinkowicz, so I've appointed him to represent you. He should be in contact with you before your hearing tomorrow. So your next hearing is June 20th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's going to be your arraignment at Justice Court. If you're still in custody, the jail's going to have you appear for that hearing, much like you're doing today. And that's going to be for then you can have a chance to talk to your attorney and hopefully get this resolved, and they may be able to assist you with the living situation.
Great.
All right. And then on your other matter as well, I'm going to do the same thing, $100 cash bond. Don't go back to the incident location. Don't have any contacts with the victims that are there. This is the one from the February of 2025. It's a disorderly conduct charge. Okay, so your conditions of release are the same on both, and your hearing date is the same on both. And you have Mr. Grinkowicz on both.
Okay.
Okay? If for some reason you did post that bond, you have, I know, I get it, Mr. Webster. I just have to tell you that if you don't show up for your hearing, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if for some reason you don't show up? Okay, you're all done for today, sir. Mr. Grinkowicz should be in contact with you.
I have to stay here.
Unless you post that $100 bond.
Okay.
Demas? Answer?
Hi, sir.
Morning, Your Honor. Good morning, Richard Demas.
Mr. Demas, you're here today on a charge of interfering with a judicial proceeding. It is a domestic violence offense out of Tucson City Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services in this case. Tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. It does look like Megan Demas, your spouse, is the victim in this case. If I release you today, you are not going to be allowed to have any contact with her. Pretrial services was not able to reach her, so that's going to be my order today. Do you have somewhere else that you can reside if I release you?
Yes, Your Honor, we don't reside together, so no problem at all.
Okay. I am going to release you on your promise to appear. Will you promise to show up at a court date that I'm about to give you?
Absolutely.
Right. Your conditions of release are that you commit no acts of domestic violence. You can't have any contact at all with Ms. Demas. Don't go to her residence or to the incident location. Do you understand all of those conditions?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is also the time for your arraignment on this charge. You are presumed innocent. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea. Your next court date is July 29th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's at Tucson City Court with Judge Millian. When you get released later today, you'll get a copy of your court paperwork. It's going to have that date and time on it, as well as the address for Tucson City Court. If you fail to appear for that hearing, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. They could also go forward with that hearing in your absence and set future hearings in your absence, including a trial. If you get convicted at that trial and can't be sentenced within 90 days, you could also lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand all those consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're all done for today, Mr. Demas.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh.
Here? Yep.
Hi,
Hi, tell me your name.
Estela Gomez.
Ms. Gomez, you were here on a couple of charges involving disobedience with police officers. These are city court matters. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. If I release you today, Ms. Gomez, will you promise to show up at a court date that I give you in the future?
Yes.
All right. I am going to release you on your promise to appear. Don't go back to the incident location. Wherever this happened, just stay away from there, okay? Stay away from the area.
It was by Walmart. I can't go back to Walmart.
You can go to Walmart, just wherever the general intersect. Don't hang around in that area. If you need to go to Walmart and leave. I just don't want you hanging around that incident location. Okay?
That's fine.
All right, so don't hang around that incident location. Your next court date is going to be July 21st at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's going to be in front of Judge Cranshaw. Now, this is also the time for your arraignment on these 2 charges. You are presumed innocent. I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on your behalf. Do you understand the conditions that we've talked about today, Ms. Cummins?
Yeah.
If you do not appear for that hearing on July 21st at 2, City Court could issue a warrant for your arrest. They could also go forward in your absence with that hearing and set future hearings, including a trial in your absence. If you get convicted at trial and can't be sentenced within 90 days, you would also lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand all those consequences if you fail to appear for your court hearing?
Yes.
You're all done for today, ma'am.
Thank you.
Iona Johnson. Iona Johnson.
Sorry, no step.
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Iona Johnson.
Ms. Johnson, you are here today on a couple of charges involving being in parks after hours and also criminal trespass. These are warrants out of Tucson City Court. They look like they stem from 2021, July of 2021. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Do you have a residence here in Tucson, ma'am?
No, I don't.
All right. Where are you hanging out right now?
With my brother
Okay.
on 6th Ave.
Okay. Is that in a house?
No, it's apartment.
An apartment. Okay. All right. If I release you today, Ms. Johnson, you're going to have to go to city court to get this taken care of. Will you promise me that you'll go to city court and get it taken care of?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to release you today. You are not allowed to return to the incident location. Wherever that park is, don't go back there. All right? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Your next court hearing is going to be July 29th at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's going to be at Tucson City Court. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you don't show up, they're going to issue a warrant for your arrest.
Okay.
You understand that, Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
When you get released today, you're going to get a copy of your court paperwork. There is also something I'll tell you about. It's called the Transition Center, and it's right on the jail property. When you get released, if you look down on the ground, there's a blue line. If you follow that blue line, it'll take you right to the Transition Center. And they help people with housing, mental health services, substance abuse services, transportation. They can help with phones. It's really a wonderful group of people that work at that center that may be able to assist you. So I'm not ordering you to go there, but it may be a resource that you want to stop by when you get released today, okay?
Okay.
All right. You're all done.
Thank you.
Carter.
Hi, tell me your name.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Marilyn Maxine Carter.
Ms. Carter, you are here today on charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, 3 counts, and also failing to comply with a court order. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is the time for us to discuss conditions of release in this case. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report for me that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. It does look like your former partner, Mr. Cañas, and 2 minor age children are the victims in this case. Also looks like there is an active order of protection in this case that has been in effect since April of 2025, April 3rd of this year. You were served with a copy on April 8th. Ms. Carter, I am going to impose a bond in your case today. It is going to be a $500 cash bond. If you do post that bond and you get released, you're to commit no acts of domestic violence. You are not allowed to have contact of any kind with Mr. Cañas or the minor children at this time. Do not go anywhere near where he is living or working, and do not go to the incident location. Do you understand all the conditions of release that I've imposed today?
I do understand, Your Honor, but I don't agree with what I'm being accused of. These are my children.
Hang on. Ms. Carter, we're not going to talk about the offenses today.
That's fine.
I'm going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you, and that is the person that you need to tell all of this stuff to today. Okay?
I understand, Your Honor. I do have to be at work this afternoon. I work in Green Valley at Banner University Medicine, and I need to be at work this afternoon. I don't have any phone numbers. I do not have my vehicle. I don't have my phone. There's nobody I know that can bail me out at all. I'm by myself right now, and I am staying at my friend's house that I work with. I am currently homeless because of all of the situation of domestic violence.
So, ma'am, I am going to impose that $500 cash bond. So if you post that bond, then you'll be released and you have all the conditions we talked about.
I don't have $500.
Okay. Well, then you're going to stay in custody until you can be seen. I'll give you your next court date in a minute. This is also the time for your arraignment on these charges. You are presumed innocent, and I'm entering not guilty pleas on your behalf. Your next court date is going to be a video review hearing on June 23rd at 1:30 in the afternoon. That hearing is going to be in front of Judge Millian. If you do post your bond between now and June 23rd, you must go to Tucson City Court at that day and time. If you remain in custody, the jail will have you appear via video, much like you're doing here today on the 23rd at 1:30. And someone from the City Public Defender's Office should be out to talk with you. If you don't show up for that hearing on June 23rd and you are released, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. They could also go forward with that hearing in your absence and set future hearings, including a trial in your absence. If you get convicted and can't be sentenced within 90 days, you would lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand the consequences for failing to appear for your court hearing?
I do not. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
If you don't show up for court, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And they could also go forward with that hearing in your absence. So you don't have to be there. They'll go forward. The important piece is they could set a trial in your absence. And if you don't show up for that trial and you get convicted and you can't get sentenced within 90 days, then you'd lose your right to an appeal on this matter as well.
So I have another court date, a pretrial on July 1st.
Normally, Tucson City Court will consolidate your other matter with this one, and everything will be handled on that June 23rd date in front of Judge Millian.
Okay.
Okay.
Your Honor, am I able to bail myself out? I just don't have anybody to call. I really don't. I can't call my mother. I don't.
Yes, if you have $500 cash, then you can post that bail.
How do you get $500 cash if you're in jail?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How do you get $500 in cash if you're in jail?
Ma'am, you need to talk to your city public defender about that, okay? You're all done for today.
Yeah.
Hi, tell me your name.
Matthew Jonathan Neely.
Mr. Neely, you are here today on new charges involving assault and disorderly conduct. That is a domestic violence offense. You're also city court warrants involving assault, threats and intimidation, assault, disorderly conduct. Those are all domestic violence offenses as well. Failing to remain at the scene, criminal trespass, a couple of counts of those as well. You do have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you
ma'am.
say kind of will be used against you. We're here to talk about your conditions of release. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense.
Yes, ma'am.
Based on the failures to appear, the number of them in this case, I am going to impose a bond amount today in the amount of $1,000. That is going to be a cash or secured bond that will apply to everything in Tucson City Court. With respect to your new charges, the assault and disorderly conduct ones, this is the time for your arraignment on those two as well. You are presumed innocent, and I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on your behalf. If you post that bond, Mr. Neely, and get released, your additional conditions of release commit no acts of domestic violence. You are not allowed to have any contact with the victim in this case. That's Christian Harlow. Don't go anywhere near where she is living or working or the incident location.
I have no post that bond, Your Honor.
I am appointing the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. Your next court date is going to be June 23rd at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's going to be in front of Judge Millian. That's a video review hearing. If you don't post your bond and you stay in custody, the jail will have you appear just like you're doing here today. If you do post the bond, you have to go to Tucson City Court at that date and time. Do you understand those conditions of release?
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't show up for that court date on June 23rd, they could issue another warrant for your arrest. For your new charges, they could also go forward with those hearings in your absence, and they could set a trial in your absence. If you fail to appear for that trial and get convicted, you could lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand those consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
You're all done for today. Hi, tell me your name.
Janae Molina.
Miss Molina, you are here today on multiple warrants out of Tucson City Court involving disorderly conduct, assault, drug paraphernalia, reckless burning, and criminal trespass. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. It's like there's also another warrant for being in the parks after they were closed and a couple counts of drug paraphernalia. This warrant stems back from, it looks like 2020 and one of the incidents. This is the time to set your conditions of release on this case. Ms. Molina, based on the number of failures to appear, I am going to impose a bond in your case. It's going to be a $1,000 cash or secured bond. If you do post that bond and get released, you can't return to any of the incident locations or have any contact with any of the victims. I'm going to appoint the City Public Defender's Office to represent you at this time. Do you understand all of those conditions of release? Is that a yes? I need you to say it out loud, ma'am.
Yes.
Your next hearing is going to be a video review hearing on June 27th at 1:45. You are still in custody. That is going to appear via video, much like you're doing here today. If you do end up getting released and you post your bond, then your next hearing is going to be July 28th at 2:30, also in front of Judge Verena. If you do get released, Ms. Molina, before your next hearing, you're going to get a copy of your court paperwork that's going to have those dates on them. So make sure you get those so you know when you need to appear. If you fail to appear for your next hearing, they're going to keep issuing warrants for you. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes.
All right, you're all done for today.
Awesome.
Oops. Rewind way back.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Justin Bernard Holt.
Mr. Holt, you are here today on 3 separate interim complaints. All of them involved charges of attempted burglary in the 3rd degree, burglary in the 2nd degree, and another count of burglary in the 2nd degree. These are felony charges. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in these matters. Today, I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report for the court that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. Also had a chance to review the state's recommendation for bond on your case. Looks like the state's attorney is asking for $2,500. Is that as to each case, Mr. Poston? You're still muted, Mr. Poston.
Forgive me, Your Honor. There are 3, correct?
Yes.
$2,500 each.
Okay. So a total of $7,500. Did you want to be heard further?
Yes. No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatak.
Thank you, Judge. So reviewing Mr. Holt's criminal history, looks like his last conviction is in 2021, and pretrial services talked to his mother, who agreed to provide some support. So for those reasons, Judge, we had asked the court to consider releasing Mr. Holt, but if the court's not inclined, we asked the court to consider setting $1,000 bonds in each one. Thank you.
I am going to impose a bond today, Mr. Holt, on all 3 matters. It's going to be a $5,000 cash or secured bond. If you post the bond, then you're going to be released to pretrial services. You will have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You are not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms. Do not return to any of these incident locations. Don't have any contact with the victims in this case. Do you understand all of those conditions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your next court date is going to be June 30th at 1:30. That is a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear for your court dates, a warrant could issue for your arrest. If you stay in custody, the jail will make sure you get transported to your next hearing. But if you get released, you must stay in contact with your attorney and show up for your court dates. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, Your Honor. I do.
You're all done for today. Hi, ma'am. Give me just one moment. Tell me your name.
Yeah, Florestella Obregon Castaneda.
You are here today on felony charges involving child abuse, aggravated assault, aggravated DUI, endangerment, more aggravated DUI involving passengers under 15, and also criminal damage. You do have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. Today, I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense in this matter. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation for bond. They are asking for a $10,000 bond in this case. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatak.
Thank you, Judge. So it looks like Ms. Obregon Castaneda's last conviction is from 2018. She is employed. She's lived in Tucson for over 2 decades. Pretrial services spoke with her mother, who's agreed to provide third-party custody and transportation to court if necessary. We are asking the court to consider releasing her to pretrial services supervision, and we also anticipate some DCS involvement. But if the court's not inclined to do that, we ask that the court set a bond closer to $2,000, Judge. And as to the criminal damage count, Judge, I see it was charged as a Class 6 felony, but there was no dollar value mentioned in the interim complaint. Thank you.
All right. So Mr. I'm not dismissing it for that charge. The only thing the court could do is release her, but there is definitely PC as to all of the other charges in this case. So all the charges will remain. None of them are being dismissed. However, I do find that there is not PC for that criminal damage at this time. In reviewing the criminal history, the two priors are for DUIs, and it looks like her probation just ended after even a prison term in September of 2024. There's also another misdemeanor, Tucson City DUI. I am going to impose a $10,000 bond in this case. That's going to be a cash bond. If you do post that $10,000 cash bond, ma'am, then you would be released to pretrial services. You would have to participate in any monitoring or treatment that pretrial services directed. This is an alcohol-related case. You would be required to do testing. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol. You can't have any illegal drugs, and you can't drive without a valid license. You also aren't.
Your Honor, I'm
Nope,
confused.
nope. Stop talking. I'm going to get through all the conditions. You're not allowed to have any firearms. You're also not allowed to have any contact with the victims in this case. Those are your children. So what I'm going to order is no unsupervised contact with them. If you end up posting and getting released, you must have another adult around you all the time with those children, and you must abide by any DCS conditions if they are involved. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your next court date is going to be June 30th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear for those court dates, a warrant could issue for your arrest. If you stay in custody, the jail will transport you to your hearings. If you post bond and get released, then you must stay in contact with your attorney to make sure that you know when your future court dates are. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear for your hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all done for today. I'm going to impose a $25,000 cash or secure bond at this time. If you post that bond, then you'd be released to pretrial. You'd have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they directed. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. You're not allowed to have any contact with the victims in this case. Do not return to the incident location, the bank. Don't go back there. Do you understand those conditions of release?
Yes.
Your next court date is going to be June 30th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes.
You're all done for today, Mr. Jessup.
Okay.
And just that was a cash or secured bond.
Cash or secured.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Take one about me.
Mr. Baumann, you are here today on charges of possession of a dangerous drug and drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent on these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. Today, I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated here with you for purposes of our hearing today, which is to set conditions of release. Jail, are you showing any kind of holds for Mr. Baumann?
We are not, Your Honor.
All right. I've had a chance to review a report from pretrial services, Mr. Baumann. They prepare a report for me to tell me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of your offense. We're also going to have a city court case we need to talk about. Pretrial services did note that you do appear to have 3 felony cases out of South Carolina. Doesn't look like there's any warrants at this time, just making you aware of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Based on the nature of these offenses, they are drug possession charges. You may be eligible to participate in a pre-indictment diversion program. If you agree to participate in substance abuse treatment and successfully complete that program, if you qualify, then the state would not go forward with these felony charges. Does that sound like something you're interested in?
Just gonna talk to him in just a second.
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor, he's interested.
All right. So, Mr. Baumann, I'm going to give you a court date of next week, June 26th at 9 o'clock. You have to go to that hearing if you want to be eligible for this program. If you don't show up, the state is absolutely going to go forward with these felony charges, and that's not a position you want to find yourself in, okay? So the first step is showing up. At that hearing, you're going to meet with your attorney. Pretrial services will be present. And there's also several community partners that work with the court for this substance abuse treatment. They'll be in the courtroom as well so that you can sign up for services right then and there. That is June 26th, 9 a.m. I am inclined to release him to pretrial. I do see that the state was asking for a $10,000 bond on this case. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard?
Your Honor, the state believes it's only a matter of hours until North Carolina likely catches on and puts hold on him. Considering the absolutely extensive record, the state believes that this person has everything to lose and therefore is a flight risk, $10,000.
Mr. Patak, I am going to release him to pretrial since there aren't any other warrants at this time.
No objection, Judge. We will waive the PH date to August 4th, which is the 45 days.
Thank you. All right, so Mr. Bowman, I don't know what else is going on with you, but I'm releasing you on this case for now. You are ordered to stay in contact with pretrial services, participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You are not allowed to possess any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
Yes, ma'am.
What your attorney told me is that we're going to waive time for your preliminary hearing to see if you're eligible to participate in that STEPS program. Again, if you are eligible to participate, then they would not go forward with these felony charges against you. That next court date is going to be August 4th, and that's the preliminary hearing. That would be the time that the state has to go forward with the charges if you don't complete STEPS or you don't participate in the STEPS program. You do need to stay in contact with your attorney to make sure that you know when the court dates are. If you fail to appear for your court dates, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now we need to talk about your Tucson City Court case as well. This is a warrant out of Tucson City Court for a criminal trespass that occurred back in February of this year. I am going to actually release you on that case. And then you're going to have to promise that you're going to show up and take care of your city court case as well. Will you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Your next court date at Tucson City Court is going to be in front of Judge Mayhew, and that is going to be on July 23rd at 2:00 in the afternoon. When you get released later today, you are going to get a copy of your paperwork. It's going to have that date and time as well as the address and phone number for your city court case. If you do not show up, they can issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're all done, Mr. Bowman.
All right, thank you.
Hi, tell me your name.
I'm Cody Lynn Bledsoe.
Mr. Bledsoe, this is the time for your initial appearance on a felony charge of second-degree burglary. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. We're here to talk about your conditions of release. I've reviewed some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report for the court that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. Also had a chance to review the state's recommendation as to your conditions of release. They're asking for a $5,000 cash or secured bond and release to pretrial. I am inclined to impose a $2,500 cash or secured bond. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatak?
Judge, given that Mr. Bledsoe has no failures to appear in the last 2 years and seems to be self-employed and lived in Tucson 15 years, the last conviction being from 2019, we are asking you to consider releasing him, but if not, I think the court's inclined to set a $25. Thank you.
So Mr. Bledsoe, I am going to impose a bond today. It's going to be a $2,500 cash or secured bond. If you do post that bond, you're going to be released to pretrial services. You have to stay in contact with that agency. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms. You also can't have any contact with the victim or return to the incident location in this case. Do you understand those conditions of release?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is going to be June 30th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Ma'am.
If you remain in custody, the jail will make sure to transport you to your next hearing, but if you do postpone and get released, it's important you stay in contact with your attorney so you don't miss court. You're all done for today.
Camacho.
Hi, tell me your name.
Marina Camacho.
Ms. Camacho, you are here today on an aggravated DUI and criminal damage counts. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Looks like this is a warrant out of Pima County Superior Court. You missed your arraignment. There is a bond amount of $2,500 on that warrant for your arrest. I've had a chance to review some information provided by pretrial services. They tell me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. We're also going to have to talk about a city court case. Hang on, there's another case, justice court case that we're going to be talking about as well. Looks like a driving on a suspended license. We're going to deal with your felonies first. I have had a chance to review the state's request for conditions of release. They are asking for the $2,500 that's listed on the bond amount. That is the court's inclination. Did you want to be heard further, Mr. Poston?
No, Judge.
Mr. Patak?
Judge, we were hoping the court would release Ms. Camacho to pretrial services supervision. That's because she has not been previously arrested on this warrant, Judge. I don't know if she received the mail. She seems to be employed full-time, and her mother-in-law has agreed to assume third-party custody and provide transportation. She's a lifelong Tucson resident. So we're asking for one chance on pretrial services. She avows to the court she will make it to her arraignment and not miss it this time.
So Ms. Camacho, if I release you today to pretrial, you are going to have to show up at your court date. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. I will give you an opportunity. I will release you to pretrial services. You have to stay in contact with that agency and participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Don't return to whatever the incident location was in this case. I know there was some criminal damage as a result of that. And so whoever the victims are of the criminal damage, you cannot have any contact with them. Your next court date is going to be June 25th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That is an arraignment. That's going to take place on the 3rd floor of Pima County Superior Court. You must attend at that date and time. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the conditions of release in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Also connected to these charges, it does look like you were cited into Pima County Justice Court for driving on a suspended license. I'm going to release you on that charge as well. It is a misdemeanor. Your conditions of release are the same. Do not drive without a valid license. Your next hearing at Justice Court is going to be June 30th at 8:30 in the morning. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest in that case. So 2 separate court dates, 2 separate courts. Do you understand all of that, Ms. Camacho?
Yes.
All right, make sure you show up for your court hearings. You're all done for today.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Maria Childs.
Ms. Childs, you are here on multiple matters today. There is a charge relating to narcotics, drugs possession for sale, also narcotic drug possession and drug paraphernalia. There are multiple failures to appear for you, one out of Marana, two out of Marana, one for theft and one for drug paraphernalia, and then multiple matters out of Tucson City Court where you have failed to appear. And those dates for those warrants range back from 2019 through 2024. You do have the right to remain silent on all of these matters. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on the felony matters. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services, tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense. Also had a chance to review the state's recommendation as to conditions of release. They're asking for a $2,500 bond. That is my inclination, given what has occurred in this case. I will note the sales charge will prohibit the steps. All right. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatak?
Thank you, Judge. I saw the court just noted the relatively low quantity of drugs that were found. I was going to ask for release today, but I know she has a lot going on in city court, but as well as justice court. So if the court's not inclined, we just ask that the court set close to a $500 bond, given the quantity involved. But Ms. Childs was really hoping to be released today, Judge. Thank you.
Ms. Childs, I'm going to impose a $2,500 cash or secured bond on this case. If you post that bond, then you'd be released to pretrial. You do have to stay in contact with pretrial services, participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. This is just your felony matter. Do you understand those conditions?
Yes.
Your next court date in your felony case is June 30th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes.
All right, now we need to talk about your case out of Marana City Court. There is a warrant out of Marana. And it looks like that is for the drug paraphernalia charge back from 2022. You failed to appear in August of 2024 and the warrant was issued for your arrest. There is a $350 bond on that warrant. I am going to impose that today. That's a $350 cash or secured bond. I am going to appoint an attorney for you in that matter as well. And that is going to be Janet Altschuler. Your next hearing is going to be today at noon. It'll be via video, much like you're doing here today. So you'll get a chance to be seen on that Marana matter. Do you understand your conditions of release in that case?
Yeah.
That is, there, it looks like there's a theft count associated with that one. So don't go back to wherever the theft occurred or have any contact with the victims there. Now we need to talk about your justice court case. This one is for a shoplifting. There's a $100 bond amount on that matter. I think on that matter, Ms. Childs, I'm going to release you. Your next court date there is going to be June 30th. If you're still in custody on June 30th, the jail will make sure that you appear for that hearing. But if you post bond and you get your Marana case resolved today, you get your felony cases resolved, you'll get released, and then you have to show up for court on June 30th at 8:30 at Justice Court. Don't have any contact with the victims. Wherever that shoplifting occurred, don't go back there. Do you understand your conditions of release in your justice court case?
Yes.
And then finally, the multiple city court cases that you have. I am going to impose a $500 cash bond on all of those cases. I am going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you. Don't go back to any of the incident locations or have any contacts with the victims. Your next court date in Tucson City Court. It's going to be a video review hearing on June 27th at 1:45. That will be, if you're still in custody, the hearing that we're having right now, you'll be in front of a city court judge via video. If you do post bond before you have that hearing in custody on June 27th, then you're going to have your next hearing after that would be out of custody on July 29th at 9 o'clock in the morning. If you do get released, Ms. Childs, you're going to get copies of all your court paperwork. Please make sure you get all of that because it's going to have all your court dates and times on it. I think Mr. Fatuk also wrote those down for you. Do you understand your conditions of release on your city court cases?
Yes.
Also, if you fail to appear for those, they could just keep issuing warrants for you. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay, you're all done for today, Ms. Childs. Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Armando Espinosa, and good morning, Judge.
Mr. Espinoza, you are here today on a warrant out of Pima County Superior Court and also a charge of aggravated domestic violence. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm
sorry, Your Honor.
I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report for the court that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. Today, we're here to talk about your conditions of release. The state's attorney is asking for a $5,000 bond on each one of these matters. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatuk.
Your Honor, they just brought Mr. Espinosa down, and I guess he has a question. Can I mute for just a bit? Thank you. So, Your Honor, looking at Mr. Espinosa's pretrial services report, looks like on the grand jury warrant, he was not arrested. Moreover, the victim seems to want contact and does not object to his release from custody. And because he was not previously arrested, Your Honor, I don't know if the court's inclined to release him on both these offenses, but I know the state's asking for less than the less than the 25,000, but we are still asking for release. What's your question?
Jail, are you showing any kind of hold? Probation hold?
We are not, Your Honor.
Okay.
And just she really wants me to tell you that he is presently connected with Hope Services.
I think that's great, sir. Today I am going to impose the bond amount that's on the warrant, and that's the $25,000. That's going to be a cash or secured bond. If you do post that bond, then you're going to be released to pretrial services.
I can't afford that bond, Your Honor.
Okay, well then you're going to stay in custody until someone else can change that for you in the future.
So how long am I going to have to stay in custody?
Your arraignment date is going to be June 25th at 1:30.
And if I don't have a bond, then I'm.
Your attorney will talk to you, will come and talk to you.
Okay.
You're gonna have an attorney and they will talk to you. So if you do post the $25,000 bond, then you'll be released to pretrial. You do have to participate in any monitoring or treatment as directed. You can't possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. I understand that your father has indicated that he welcomes contact with you. Given the history in this case, sir, I am not allowing you to have any contact with him today. So
I will not have contact with him, Your Honor, if you really.
I'm not releasing you. You're still not having any contact with him. So while you're in jail, you're going to be given access to phones, tablets, and other things. You are not allowed to have any contact with your father, and don't return to the incident location. So even if a judge lowers the release conditions in the future, right now, you're not to have any contact with him. Do you understand those release conditions?
Yeah.
Your arraignment is scheduled for July 25th at 1:30. If you stay in custody, the jail will make sure that you are transported to that hearing. If you get released, it is up to you to show up for that hearing at that scheduled date and time. If you don't, they'll issue a warrant for you. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was as to the warrant. We also have to deal with the new charges. So on the new charges, I am going to impose a $2,500 cash or secured bond with those same conditions of release. This is a consecutive bond because of the procedural postures being different. So it's going to be the $25,000 on that case and $2,500 on this case. Your next hearing in this matter is going to be June 30th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are responsible for showing up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand your release conditions in that case as well?
Yes, well, I'm not getting released today, so until I post the bond.
Yes. All right, you're all done for today.
Thank you. Keep going.
Hi, tell me your name.
Keith Lee Golden.
Mr. Golden, you are here today on felony charges involving fraud schemes, forgery, and conducting an illegal criminal enterprise. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. Today, I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. Had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. It tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation in this case. They are asking for a $25,000 bond. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Judge.
And this is a co-defendant to a party we saw earlier. I am inclined to impose the same bond. Mr. Fatak?
So, Your Honor, what's different with Mr. Golden is that he has absolutely no criminal history. We understand that he's lived in Tucson only for 6 months, but he tells me that he has no intentions of returning to Nevada, and he has an established residence in Moran. For those reasons, Judge, we are asking you to consider releasing Mr. Golden because this is a non-violent offense. But if the court's not inclined, we just ask the court to consider close to $5,000. Thank you.
I also have a boss hire me and make sure that I get the court dates and everything.
There is someone, I believe, Judge, that can assume that.
I am going to impose a bond in this matter of $15,000. I will lower it a little bit off of the inclination that I had, given the lack of criminal history. It is going to be a cash or secured bond. If you post that bond, Mr. Golden, then you're going to be released to pretrial services. You're going to have to stay in contact with that agency. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms. Don't have any contact with the victims, and don't go back to the incident location. Do not go anywhere near that bank. Your next hearing is June 30th at 1:30. That is going to be a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the conditions of release that I've imposed today?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand the consequences if you don't show up for your court hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
You're all done for today. Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Taylor Marie Houghton Golden.
Ms. Houghton Golden, you are here today on charges of fraud schemes, forgery, and conducting an illegal criminal enterprise. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm going to appoint the legal advocate's office to represent you today, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of this hearing. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services. It tells me a little bit about you and the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation as to your conditions of release. That's what we're here to talk about today. They are asking for a $25,000 bond. Again, this is a co-defendant with two others that we've seen today. Given the previous matter and the fact that Ms. Houghton Golden also has no criminal history, Mr. Poston, I am inclined to impose the same $15,000 cash secured bond. I do note that you are asking for $25,000. Did you want to be heard?
No, Your Honor, very well.
Mr. Patak?
No, Judge, because it would be the exact same arguments as the last one, because it's probably the pre-trial report is a replica of the last one. So.
Right. So Ms. Houghton Golden, I am going to impose a bond today of $15,000. That's going to be cash or secured. If you post that bond, then you're going to be released to pretrial. You have to participate in any monitoring or treatment that they direct. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms. You don't have any contact with the victims in this case, and do not go near the incident location. Don't go back to that bank. Your next hearing is going to be June 30th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're all done for today.
Good, how are you?
Hi, tell me your name.
Jaden?
Mr. Larson, you were here today on some felony drug charges, possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. It does look like the state is dismissing those charges at this time without prejudice. Is that correct, Mr. Poston?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. We do have other cases that we need to talk about, sir. It looks like you've got some matters out of city court and also a justice court matter that we need to talk about. Your justice court matter involves a criminal trespass in the 3rd degree. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
What was that for? What was that? Where?
Criminal trespass. Looks like the same time. It was the 18th, so it was yesterday. South Bryant address. So if I release you on this case, will you promise to show up at justice court and get this taken care of? All right. I'm noting a general delivery address on the ticket. Do you have a place that you're staying right now? A physical address?
That's what got me last night. There's the whole reason this thing going on.
Okay. So I'll tell you about a place in a minute. Let's get through all of the rest of this stuff. So I am going to release you on this case, Mr. Larson, but you have to get to justice court to get it taken care of. Don't go back to the incident location in this case. That's your condition of release. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Your court date is going to be June 30th at 8:30 in the morning, and that's going to be at justice court. When you get released later today, you're going to get a copy of your paperwork. It's going to have that date. Mr. Patak is also writing it down for you so that you have it. Don't lose it because you do need to show up for that hearing. Your Tucson City Court cases go back to 2021, theft and criminal trespass. I'm going to release you on those as well. But again, you have to go to court to get these resolved. They're not going to go away. They'll just keep adding up if you don't show up and take care of them. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Your next court date, and same thing, don't return to the incident location, victims or wherever that theft or shoplifting occurred. So don't go back there. Your next court date in city court is going to be July 21st at 2:00 in the afternoon. And that's going to be in front of Judge Cranshaw. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you don't, they're going to issue another warrant for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yeah.
When you get released later today, make sure you get 2 pieces of paper, one for justice court, one for city court. They'll have your court dates on them. When you walk out of the jail, if you look down on the ground, there's going to be a blue line on the ground. That will take you to the transition center. It's a big white trailer with a blue sign that's right there next to the jail property. They can help people with housing, transportation to court hearings. They also offer connections to mental health and substance abuse and other services in our community. I would encourage you to stop by there, especially if you need help with getting to court so that they can help with that service. They're also able in some circumstances to provide help with cell phones as well. So I would encourage you to stop by there. All right, you're all done. Hi, tell me your name.
Jacqueline Peralta.
You are here today on a charge of aggravated DUI, endangerment, and criminal damage. These are felony offenses. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. We're also going to have to talk about some warrants out of Tucson City Court when we're done talking about your felony charges. You do have the right to remain silent. As I've said, anything you say can and will be used against you. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you today, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of this hearing. We're talking about your conditions of release. I've had a chance to review information provided by pretrial services. They prepare a report for me that tells me a little bit about you as well as the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review some information provided by the state as to your conditions of release. They are asking for a $7,500 bond. Does look like you're also on probation. Jail, are you showing any probation hold at this time?
We are not, Your Honor.
All right. I do note that the state is asking for a $7,500 bond. I'm inclined to impose a $10,000 bond on this case, given the criminal history and the failures to appear. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatak.
Judge, so reviewing the interim complaint that cites to 28-1383A5, which is the wrong-way driving, it didn't see any facts supporting the wrong-way driving, and I also see that there was a field sobriety test right after which she was placed under arrest. It doesn't give us any other indicia of impairment, such as bloodshot, watery eyes, odor of intoxicants, and whatnot. For that reason, Judge, I'm asking the court not to find probable cause on the DUI charge.
I do find that there is probable cause based on at least the damages that are noted, and the fact that after those field sobriety tests, they do note that she was placed under arrest for the DUI. I understand that at least those tests were administered, and it's reasonable under the circumstances to believe that that would have been the reason for her arrest on those.
So Judge, as to release conditions, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mention.
No, that's fine. And I will note that's as to the aggravated DUI. If for some reason someone were to not agree with that, there is also the endangerment and criminal damage charges. Those are also felony offenses. And again, I would not dismiss, even if I had not found probable cause, it would be a release if that were to be the case, but there is probable cause as to the other two offenses that are also felonies. So based on that, I would still be inclined to impose a bond. Go ahead, Mr. Fatak.
Mr. Judge, thank you. So Your Honor, if the court will not be releasing her, we just ask that the court consider a bond close to $2,000. Thank you.
I am going to impose a bond today of $10,000 cash or secured. If you post that bond, then you'll be released to pretrial services. You do have to stay in contact with that agency. You have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. This is an alcohol-related offense. They will require you to test, and you must do that. You are not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol, obviously no illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license. You can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do not have any contact with the victims in this case for the endangerment charge. Your next court date is going to be a preliminary hearing on June 30th at 1:30. That date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future hearings. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand those conditions?
Yes.
And do you understand the consequences if you don't show up for your court date?
Yes.
All right, so we now need to talk about your city court cases. You have warrants for your arrest for DUI, assault, disorderly conduct, under 21 with liquor on board. It looks like these are from 2023. Again, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say kind of will be used against you. I'm going to appoint the city public defender's office to represent you in this case. Again, you're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. I am going to impose a bond in this case of $500 cash or secured. Your next court date is going to be a video review hearing on June 27th at 1:45. If you remain in custody, that's going to be just like you're doing here today. You'll be taken before a city court judge on this matter. If you do post your bond in this case and the felony case and you're released, your next court date is going to be July 22nd at 9 o'clock in the morning. You do have to appear for your court dates. If you fail to appear, they'll continue to issue more warrants for your arrest. Do you understand all those conditions in the city court matters?
Yeah.
Right. And again, if you don't show up, they'll issue warrants for you. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay, you're all done for today.
Oh, that person.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
My name is Raul Reyes, Your Honor.
Mr. Reyes, you were here today on felony charges involving a narcotic drug for sale, narcotic drug possession for sale, and drug paraphernalia. We also have a city court warrant that we need to talk about when we're done with the felonies. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm appointing the legal advocate's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I will note for both of the attorneys, I am not finding probable cause as to either of the sales charges in this case. I don't believe there's sufficient evidence for that based on the interim complaint. However, again, the remedy for the court is not dismissal of those charges, but instead it would require release as to those. Given that the remaining charge is the paraphernalia charge, the court is inclined to pretrial today. Does either party need to be heard further?
No, Judge.
And no, Judge, I'd just like to note, I heard this in training, which is the only reason I'm making this record. I know Rule 4.2 talks about release if there is no PC, but there is Rule 2.4, which talks about dismissing the charge. So I just want to make that record that I understand the court's ruling, but I am objecting on the basis of 2.4. And absolutely no objection to the court releasing him.
All right, so Mr. Reyes, you're going to be released today to pretrial services. You do have to stay in contact with that agency, participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You are not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. You can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do you understand all those conditions of your release?
Yes, Your Honor. I do. Thank you.
Your next court date is going to be July 9th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are required to show up for all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Because you're going to be released, it's important you stay in contact with your attorney so you do not miss your court dates. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And even though the only charge that I found PC on today for is that drug paraphernalia, the state may go forward and do something else with those sales charges. That's completely up to the state and how they proceed with that.
Okay.
So make sure you
Okay.
stay in contact with your attorney. We do
Yes,
need to
ma'am.
talk about your city court matter as well. This is a warrant for prescription drug possession and drug paraphernalia. I'm going to release you on that charge as well. Again, don't possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Your next court date at Tucson City Court is going to be July 28th at 9:30 in the morning. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you don't appear, they're going to issue a warrant for you again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
When you get released today, you're going to get copies of your paperwork. You'll have that attorney on the felony case. You don't have one on the misdemeanor case. The paperwork's going to have the court dates for you. There is something called the Transition Center that's right outside adjacent to the jail property. They provide a number of services, including connecting people with substance abuse services. Looking at the nature of the charges, if that is something that you believe that you need, when you get released and walk out the jail door today, if you look down on the ground, you're going to see a blue line. If you simply follow that blue line, it's going to take you directly to the Transition Center. I would strongly encourage you to go. The people there are amazing. They're incredibly helpful and kind and understanding, and they will be able to connect you with services for substance use if that's something that you think you need. They also have other services as well. All right, Mr. Reyes,
Yes, ma'am.
you're all done for today.
Thank you.
And just because I guess there is a sales charge on the interim, there is no option of steps at this point.
Right, I can't include that given the nature of the charges.
Okay, Judge, thank you.
Okay, so we're good?
Yeah, you're being
Okay.
released.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Brandon Shaughnessy.
Hi, sir, tell me your name.
Brandon Shaughnessy.
Mr. Shaughnessy, you are here today on a felony charge of unlawful use of food stamps. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of these proceedings. I have had a chance to review information provided by pretrial services, tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation. They're asking for a $1,000 bond. I'm inclined to release Mr. Shaughnessy OR. Mr. Poston,
That's fine, Your Honor.
Mr. Patak.
That sounds good, Judge. And also in the interim, I didn't see that law enforcement in fact found food stamps related transactions, but I guess that was the complaint from Walmart. So, and the court's releasing him. So I think I lost anything.
So, Mr. Shaughnessy, if you promise me that you'll show up at your future court dates, I'm going to release you on your promise to appear. Will you do that?
Yes, I promise.
Okay. Your conditions of release, however, you are not allowed to return to that Walmart. You can't go back there. They're
Right.
victims in this case. You can't return there. So that is a condition of your release, is that you not go back there. Do you understand that?
Understand.
Okay. And they very likely will know who you are. They'll have their security people. If you even show up, they're going to call law enforcement. Do you understand?
I understand. I'm not going to go back to Walmart.
Great. Do not go back there. Your next court date is going to be July 9th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are expected to show up at all future court dates. If you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Because you're going to be out today, it's important you stay in contact with your attorney so that you don't miss court dates. Do you understand?
I understand.
All right, you're all done for today.
Thank you.
Soto.
Hi, tell me your name.
Carlos Soto.
Mr. Soto, you are here today on felony charges of narcotic drug possession for sale, drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm going to appoint the Legal Defender's Office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I will note in reviewing the interim complaint on this matter that I am not finding that there is probable cause as to the sales charge, the Class 2. There is probable cause as to the Class 6, the drug paraphernalia charge. So the sales charge is not being dismissed. However, I am inclined to release Mr. Soto to pretrial services today. Mr. Poston, I do see that you asked for a $5,000 bond. Mr. Soto, we're also going to have to talk about city court cases that you haven't shown up for as well. Mr. Poston, did you need to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Patak?
No, Judge, release sounds wonderful.
All right. So, Mr. Soto, you're going to be released today on the felony charges to pretrial services. You have to stay in contact with them. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do you understand those conditions?
Yes, I do.
Your next court date is going to be July 9th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are responsible for showing up at all future court dates. Because you're going to be out of custody, it's important that you stay in contact with your attorney so you don't miss future court dates. If you miss them, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
We're going to talk about your Tucson City Court matter now. Just like you have a warrant out for your arrest for 2 counts of shoplifting that occurred back in April of this year. You do have the right to remain silent on that as well. If I release you, will you promise to show up at a court date that I give you at Tucson City Court?
Yes, I do.
All right. I'm going to release you on your promise to appear on that case as well. Your next court date is going to be July 28th at 9:30 in the morning, and that's going to be in front of Judge Maldonado at Tucson City Court. Do not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Don't have any contact with the victims. Wherever the shopliftings occurred, don't go back there. That's where the victims are. Do you understand those conditions of release?
Yes, I do.
And if you don't show up at that court date on July 28th at 9:30, they could issue a warrant for you as well. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand.
So, Mr. Soto, when you get released later today, you're going to get copies of your paperwork. It's going to have your court dates on it. Make sure you get those. I know Mr. Fatuk is writing those down as well. I'm going to tell you about a resource that is available to you. It's called the Transition Center. And it's a big white trailer with a big blue sign that's on the jail property or just adjacent to the jail property. When you get released today, if you follow that blue line, it'll take you right to the doors of the Transition Center. That center can connect you to many resources in the community, including substance abuse. So if you go see them and that's something you believe would be beneficial to you, I would encourage you to stop by there so that they can connect you to some of our community partners. They can also assist people with getting to court and other matters as well. All right?
Okay, sounds good.
All done for today.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Scott Stewart.
Mr. Stewart, you were here today on a charge of aggravated DUI, driving while your license was suspended. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review some information provided by pretrial services, tells me a little bit about you and also the circumstances of the offense. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation. They are asking for a $5,000 bond on your case. Given the history and the information the court has, that is my inclination at this time. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Patak.
Yes, Judge. We were asking the court to release Mr. Stewart to pretrial services supervision. Something I noted, Judge, in the interim was they are talking about his drug arrests in the past. I know that there is some indicia that of impairment, but it doesn't say that it was a drug DUI because I don't think any drugs were found on him. But I thought it was a little slim, so we're asking the court to consider release. But if you're not inclined, $1,000. Thank you.
I will note in the interim that there is sufficient information to support the DUI charge. And I am going to impose a bond on this case of $5,000. It's going to be a cash or secured bond, Mr. Stewart. If you do post that bond, then you're going to be released to pretrial services. You do have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. This is an alcohol-related offense, so they will have you testing, and you have to participate in that. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license. You can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do you understand those conditions of release?
You really can't lower the bond, Your Honor, please?
I'm not going to lower the bond today. Do you understand the conditions of release that I've imposed?
That's
Your next court date is going to be June 30th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant will issue for your arrest. you stay in custody, the jail will make sure to transport you to your next court date, or you'll appear via video like you're doing today. But if you post bond and get released, you must stay in contact with your attorney so you don't miss your court dates. Do you understand that as well?
Yes.
All right, you're all done, Mr. Stewart. All right, everyone, that is a wrap for today. Thank you so much.